buckle up, because today we are taking a deep dive into Bleed Free.
Ooh, I love that title.
Right. It really grabs you.
It does.
And this book, it's not just another one of those, like, how to deal with P.M.S. kind of books.
Right.
This is something else entirely. It's about, reclaiming our power.
Yes.
In a world that honestly has been trying to silence us forever.
That's exactly what I found so fascinating about Bleed Free. It goes way beyond, just offering coping mechanisms. Here's how to, deal with your cramps. Here's how to deal with your mood swings, whatever. It actually exposes how PMS has been used as this tool to, undermine women.
Yes.
To make us doubt ourselves, to make us, just hold us back from reaching our full potential.
Okay, so it's not just me. Because, I've always kind of felt like all those PMS jokes weren't really jokes.
Nope.
It always felt like this way to dismiss our experiences and our emotions.
Exactly. And Bleed Free is like, no, we're not having it. We are challenging those societal norms. It argues that we need to challenge the medical establishment that has pathologized our natural cycles, turn something completely natural into something wrong.
Like we need to be fixed.
Yes, exactly. We need to reclaim the power of our bodies.
Oh, I love it. So how do we even begin to unpack all of this? Where do we start? I know Bleed Free talks about the history of feminism, right?
Absolutely. It takes us back, way back, to those amazing women like Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton. Those early feminists who fought tooth and nail for those basic rights: voting, equal pay, property rights.
Things we totally take for granted today.
I know, right?
Crazy to think about what they went through.
It is.
But it's amazing how far we've come.
It is.
But Bleed Free also, doesn't shy away from the fact that we have so much further to go.
Oh, for sure.
It even suggests that, equality isn't enough anymore.
Yes, that's a really, really key point. The book is saying that modern feminism, it's evolved. It's become something, it's more potent now. And it's about recognizing that we are not just equal to men. We're not.
We're more than that.
We are, dare I say it, superior.
Yes.
We are the new standard bearers. We are the ones that are going to lead the way to a better future.
And I love how the book uses that anecdote about the feminist scholar, the one who just flat out said, women are the new standard bearers at a gender studies conference.
Oh, yes.
Yes, finally, someone is saying what we've all been thinking.
I know. And that statement, it really does encapsulates the whole central argument of the book. It's like this provocation to rethink, what are the goals of feminism? What are we really fighting for? And it's not about just leveling the playing field. It's about creating a whole new game.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting, because Bleed Free connects feminism to something called cultural Marxism. And I have to admit, before reading this, I wasn't totally clear on what that even meant.
Yeah, it's one of those terms that's often, how do I put it, misunderstood, misrepresented.
Oh.
But the book does a really great job of breaking it down in a way that's easy to understand.
Making it clear.
Yes, and
Okay.
basically explaining how both feminism and cultural Marxism, they share this goal. They want to challenge the foundations of traditional power structure.
Okay. So it's about dismantling those systems, those outdated systems that have kept us down for ever.
Exactly.
I'm here for it.
Bleed Free traces the roots of cultural Marxism back to the Frankfurt School. Do you remember learning about them?
Vaguely.
Okay, well, they were this group of intellectuals who basically spent their time critiquing institutions like the family, religion, media, the pillars of the patriarchal world.
So it's about questioning everything we've been taught to believe.
Absolutely. And that's where, and this is so interesting, this is where woke culture comes in. The book connects those dots between cultural Marxism and this movement that's all about, intersectionality, privilege, and social justice. It's about recognizing that oppression isn't just about gender. It's about, taking down, dismantling all the systems of power and control.
Whoa, that is a lot to unpack.
Yeah.
But it makes so much sense when you lay it out like that.
Right. And Bleed Free does this incredible job of connecting all of these seemingly disparate threads into this cohesive narrative. And it's about, understanding the historical context of oppression and recognizing the tools we have to fight back.
So it's not just about complaining. It's about action.
Exactly.
I love that. The book also delves into the history of how menstruation has been perceived, right?
Yes, it's so fascinating. Contrasts the ancient Egyptian view of menstrual blood as this symbol of power and fertility.
Wow.
I know. With the way that, patriarchal religions have just completely demonized it. It's this unclean thing.
It's like they were afraid of our power.
Yeah.
And they had to turn something natural and beautiful into something
Well,
like shameful.
Exactly. And bleed free is like, no, we're reclaiming this. We're reclaiming the spiritual significance of menstruation.
Yeah.
And we're going to see it as a source of strength and connection to like the divine feminine.
Okay, I love that. So what we've talked about, like the historical and societal context. What about like practical advice? Because the book does offer some tips for managing PMS.
It does. And it emphasizes self-care, but not in that fluffy, like superficial way.
Okay.
It's about like radical self-love. It's about creating a supportive environment, one that actually honors our, cyclical nature.
Yeah.
It's about setting boundaries, saying no to the things that drain us, and prioritizing our own well-being.
So it's about recognizing that we deserve to be treated with respect,
Yeah.
even when we're bleeding.
Yes.
I mean, because let's be real, the book doesn't shy away from the fact that PMS can be rough.
No, it doesn't. And it talks about how we've been conditioned to just power through the pain, pretend everything's fine. But bleed free is like, no, embrace your vulnerability, acknowledge your struggle, and seek support when you need it.
Yeah, no more pretending.
No more.
It also talks about practical things, right? Like diet and exercise,
Yeah.
things we can actually do to manage our symptoms.
Exactly. It emphasizes the importance of nourishing our bodies with like whole foods, getting regular exercise, and finding ways to manage stress. It even talks about specific techniques like mindfulness and meditation.
There's that great story in the book about Sarah,
Oh, yeah.
who managed to overcome her like totally debilitating PMS symptoms by using these techniques. She went from feeling totally overwhelmed to feeling empowered and in control.
Such an inspiring story, right? It just shows that we don't have to be victims of our hormones. We can learn to work with our bodies, to understand our cycles, and to create a life that supports our well-being.
That's so empowering. And Bleed Free also talks about cognitive behavioral therapy, or C.B.T, right?
It does.
I've heard it can be really helpful for managing all sorts of mental and emotional challenges.
It can be incredibly effective. And, CBT isn't about denying our feelings. It's not about that. It's about understanding that link between our thoughts, our feelings, and our behavior.
Gotcha.
And Blade Free actually breaks down that three-step process, identifying negative thoughts, challenging their validity, and then replacing them with more positive ones.
I love that. It's like we have the power to change our minds and, in turn, change our experience.
Exactly. And the book shares some amazing success stories of women who have used CBT to manage their PMS symptoms and just reclaim their lives.
Amazing. It's like they finally broke free from the mental and emotional chains that PMS had them bound to.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to ask about the pink tax. I mean, it's outrageous. The book says women pay 7% more for consumer goods than men. That adds up to over $103,790 extra over a lifetime.
I know, it's insane. It's highway robbery.
It is. And it's a blatant example of the economic discrimination, that women face every single day. And Bleed Free connects this to the wage gap, to the, systemic undervaluing of women's work. It's like, they're trying to keep us down financially too.
Ugh, it's infuriating. Knowing about the pink tax definitely makes me think twice about where I spend my money.
I hear that. It makes you want to, really be conscious about where you're putting your dollar.
For sure. All right, now for the grand finale. Bleed Free ends with this incredible vision of the future. It's bold, it's radical.
Revolution.
Yes, exactly. It paints a picture of a world where female leadership is the norm, where traditional power structures are completely overturned, and, women are finally in control.
What I love about it is that it's not just some utopian dream. It acknowledges that there's work to be done, but it argues that this is the natural progression. This is where we're headed. This movement that's been gaining momentum for centuries. And it's not just about achieving equality either. It's about going beyond that. It's about female supremacy.
Yes. Bleed Free envisions a world where women aren't just at the table. We are leading the conversation. We are shaping the future. And we are creating a society that reflects our values, our priorities.
Can't wait to dive into the specifics of this vision.
Me too. We'll explore that and more in the next part of our deep dive. Okay, so picking up right where we left off, Bleed Free, it really dives into the specifics of what this female-led future could actually look like.
Yes. And it's not just vague ideas either.
Right.
The book actually gets into the nitty-gritty details.
Oh, it does.
And explores how this shift will play out across different areas of society.
Exact. For example, it talks about economic equality, and it envisions a world where women are not just paid equally, but also have equal access to capital, resources, and opportunities.
It's about time.
I know.
I mean, the book even highlights how women are already starting businesses at a faster rate than men, and statistically outperforming them in higher education.
Right. It's the tide is turning, and
Wow.
Bleed Free is riding that wave. Envisions a world where women are leading in business, finance, technology, like all the sectors that have traditionally been dominated by men.
It even challenges us to think about, like, what a female-led political system would look like.
Ooh.
Like, what policies would we prioritize? What kind of, like, leadership style would we embrace?
It's such a fascinating thought experiment, right? And the book, it argues that women leaders, they would naturally prioritize things like collaboration, empathy, and sustainability
Yeah.
qualities that honestly have been like sorely lacking in those traditional power structures.
For sure. And let's not forget about, like, reproductive rights.
Oh, absolutely not.
Bleed-free is unapologetically pro-choice, like arguing that women have the inherent right to make decisions about their own bodies.
Yes.
No question.
It envisions a future where reproductive health care is accessible to all women, regardless of their income, their location, their social status.
And where our choices are, like, respected,
Yeah.
not, like, judged or shamed.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got, like, economic power, political influence, and control over our own bodies. What else does this, like, female-led future hold?
Well, the book also talks about the importance of representation.
Yeah.
You know, envisioning a world where women are finally seen and heard in media, in the arts, in every aspect of culture.
More being, like, relegated to the sidelines.
Right.
Or forced to fit into, like, narrow, limiting roles.
Yeah, I know.
We're taking center stage, baby.
Yes, and not just as like objects of the male gaze, but as complex, you know, multifaceted individuals with our own stories to tell, our own perspectives to share, and our own visions to bring to life.
It's like finally the world is catching up to what we've always known.
Right.
We are powerful beyond measure.
Yes.
And it is time to unleash that power.
I love it. You know, Bleed Free doesn't sugarcoat things, though. It acknowledges that there will be, you know, pushback, resistance, maybe even like outright hostility from those who are clinging to like the old ways.
Oh, absolutely. Those who, like, benefit from the current power structure.
Yes.
They're not going to give up their privilege without a fight.
No.
The book even talks about, like, the tactics they might use, right? Like spreading misinformation, using fear and intimidation, maybe even resorting to violence.
It's scary, but it's real.
It's true. And it's important, like, to be aware of those tactics.
Yes.
So we can, like, effectively counter them.
Exactly.
But Bleed Free, it encourages us to not let fear hold us back.
It does.
It's a call to be bold, to be fearless, to fight for what we deserve.
And we deserve a lot.
We do. It's about claiming our rightful place as, like, leaders, innovators, and change makers.
You know, it's interesting. The book goes as far as to say that this fight for female supremacy might even be like spiritual in nature.
Ooh, interesting.
Right. It draws these parallels between like the ancient Egyptian reverence for menstrual blood, you know?
And the modern feminist movement, suggesting that both are tapping into this, like, primal source of female power that has been suppressed for far too long.
It's like P.M.S. isn't just a biological inconvenience.
Right.
It's like a sign that we're awakening to our true potential.
Ooh, I like that.
Like a cosmic reminder of our inherent strength and power.
It's about embracing our cycles, our emotions, our intuition, like all the things that make us uniquely female and powerfully equipped to lead the way to a better future.
Love it. Okay, but like, let's be real for a second.
Okay.
What about those of us who are struggling, like, right now?
Yeah.
Dealing with the, like, day-to-day challenges of P.M.S., feeling overwhelmed, exhausted, and maybe even, like, a little bit hopeless.
Yeah, I've been there.
Bleed Free doesn't leave us hanging, though, right?
No, it doesn't.
It offers, like, practical advice and support for those who are still, like, navigating the trenches of
Yeah.
trying to find their footing. What
Yeah.
kind of practical advice? It emphasizes the importance of self-care, but not just the superficial kind. It's about creating a supportive environment for ourselves, setting boundaries, saying no to things that drain our energy, and prioritizing our own well-being. It's about radical self-love.
It also encourages us to, like, seek out healthcare professionals who actually listen to us, right?
Yes.
Doctors who understand, like, women's health issues.
Yes.
And take our concerns seriously.
Absolutely. It's about advocating for ourselves, demanding better care, and refusing to be dismissed or silenced.
Challenging those, like, societal norms that contribute to our stress and make PMS feel so much worse.
Right,
Right.
for sure.
Like the pressure to be perfect, to do it all, to never show weakness.
It's exhausting.
It is. It's about giving ourselves permission to be human,
Yes.
to have good days and bad days,
Right.
and to embrace our imperfections
I love that.
and to support each other.
Yes,
The book talks a lot about the power of sisterhood, right?
it does.
Like how we need to stop competing with each other and start collaborating instead.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that we are stronger together and that by uniting our voices, we can create a force that is, like, unstoppable.
There's that part in the book that really resonated with me where it talks about how, like, women have been conditioned to compete with each other.
Oh, yeah.
And how that competition has actually benefited the patriarchy.
It's like we've been playing a rigged game.
We have, but Bleed Free is like, no more, we're changing the rules.
Yes.
We're going to see other women as allies, not rivals. And we're going to create a world where we all can thrive.
I love that.
It's about recognizing that another woman's success doesn't diminish our own, you know?
Right.
Like there's room for all of us to shine.
Absolutely. And when we support each other, we create this like network of power and influence that can truly transform the world.
Okay, so like Bleed Free paints a pretty radical picture of the future.
It does.
But it also acknowledges that there will be challenges along the way. So like, how do we stay strong? Stay focused and keep fighting for this vision, even when it feels like an uphill battle.
Well, the book emphasizes the importance of, staying informed, of being aware of the tactics that might be used to like undermine our progress, and of being prepared to like push back against those who try to hold us down.
So it's about being vigilant,
Yeah.
about not letting our guard down, and about being ready to like fight for what we believe in.
Exactly. But it also encourages us to be patient. Change takes time, and progress isn't always linear.
Okay, so we need to like pace ourselves,
Yeah.
celebrate our wins,
Yeah.
and never give up hope, even when things get tough.
I love that. Bleed Free reminds us that we are part of this long line of women who have fought for equality and liberation.
Yeah.
Our struggle is part of this much larger movement that has been building for like centuries.
And we're not just like fighting for ourselves,
Right.
fighting for like future generations of women.
Yes.
We're fighting for a world where our daughters and granddaughters can live freely, powerfully, and authentically.
It's a legacy worth fighting for.
It is.
Yeah.
I love how the book ends with this sense of hope and optimism. Like, even though we know the road ahead won't be easy,
Yeah.
we have the power to create the future we want.
We do. It's a call to action to embrace our power, to challenge the status quo, and to create a world where women thrive.
And that future, honestly, it's closer than we think.
It is.
So we talked about like the big picture, this like revolutionary vision of a female-led future.
Yes.
But like, what can we do right now
Right.
in our like everyday lives
Yeah.
to make that vision a reality?
That's the question, isn't it?
It is.
Like, how do we actually make this happen?
Exactly.
Well, Bleed Free offers some, concrete steps, things we can actually do to start dismantling the patriarchy and building that world where women thrive.
Okay, I'm ready for action items. Hit me with them.
Okay. So, first and foremost, the book encourages us to, educate ourselves about women's health issues,
Makes sense.
to become experts on our own bodies,
Yeah.
to understand our cycles and to advocate for better health care.
Yes, no more blindly trusting doctors who dismiss our concerns or tell us it's all in our head.
Right.
We are taking charge of our own well-being.
Absolutely. And it's about challenging the way that P.M.S is portrayed in the media too.
Oh,
Like no more tired old jokes.
Well, right.
We need to demand more like accurate and empowering representations of women and our experience.
It's about like changing the narrative, reclaiming the language, and
Right.
telling our own story.
Exactly. And Bleed Free, it encourages us to support organizations that are working to advance women's rights, to mentor other women, and to use our voices to speak out against injustice.
So it's about like putting our money where our mouths are,
Yes.
lifting each other up, and creating a powerful like network of support.
Exactly. Reminds us that like even small actions can make a difference,
Small.
whether it's, speaking up at a meeting, challenging a sexist comment,
Right.
or simply supporting like another woman's work. Every act of resistance, it chips away at the patriarchy.
Because like a domino effect, right?
Right.
One small act can trigger like a chain reaction that
Yeah.
leads to bigger and bigger changes.
I love that analogy. And Bleed Free challenges us to start with ourselves.
Okay.
Like change the language we use to talk about PMS.
Yeah.
Instead of seeing it as a weakness, we can start to view it as a source of power.
It's about like reframing our thinking, right?
Yes.
Bracing our cycles as like a source of strength and intuition.
Exactly. It's a subtle shift.
Yeah.
But it can have a profound impact on like how we perceive ourselves and our experience.
Yeah, it's about time we like stop apologizing for being women.
Right.
We are powerful, we are fierce, and we are not afraid to bleed.
Yes. Bleed Free is a call to like reclaim our voices, to speak our truth, and to demand the respect and recognition that we deserve.
So for all the women out there who are struggling with PMS, feeling overwhelmed, exhausted, and maybe even a little bit lost, What message does Bleed Free offer?
It offers a message of hope.
Okay.
It tells us that we're not alone,
Yeah.
that our experiences are valid,
Mm-hmm.
and that there is a path forward.
Love it.
It encourages us to, challenge those societal norms that have kept us down for so long, to embrace our true selves, and to create a future where we can truly thrive.
It's about recognizing that PMS isn't a weakness, but like a sign of our strength.
Yes.
It's about connecting with other women.
Yes.
Building like a community of support.
Absolutely.
Sharing our experience.
Exactly. It emphasizes the power of sisterhood, the importance of standing together, and the idea that we are so much stronger when we unite.
It's like that saying, a rising tide lifts all boats. Yeah. When women support each other, we all rise together.
And when women lead, the world follows.
So if you are ready to dive deeper into this empowering perspective, Bleed Free is available on Amazon Kindle and Google Play Books.
It's time to reclaim our power, lady. Let's bleed free.